This is the residence of Weldon Lewis. Mr. Brown dreamed of developing the cut-over timberland into agriculturally productive land. He was able to acquire a sizable acreage, part of the Peacock lands north and northeast of Chadbourn, and rights to the Sussums and Struthers lands west of town. He divided these lands into 40-acre tracts, published a plot plan in a farm publication, Farm, Field, and Fireside, along with a glowing description of agricultural possibilities in the sunny South. In March of 1895, a home-seekers excursion train brought about 200 men from Chicago to Chadbourn. Some were favorably impressed and bought land at once. In 1885 and 1886, 160 families took up land in the sunny South Colony. They came from 20 states and 3 foreign countries. They came from varying occupations. Some had no farming experience at all. Some families chartered railroad cars, loaded household goods, livestock, and enough provisions to see them through the first harvest in their new home. 3 families came overland by prairie schooner. By 1889, about 100 families had returned north and west, some who understood that life in the new colony would be this way. All you have to do is scratch the ground, put in seed, sit on the fence, watch things grow, and count the profits. By 1905, about 25 families remained. Their motto, do or die. As the colonists began to settle, the town began to grow. Ms. R.K. Moores said in her history that towns grow east of a river and north of a railroad. By 1896, the town was laid off north of the railroad. The 3 main streets were named Brown Street for Senator Joseph A. Brown, Howard and Wilson for the publishers of Farm, Field, and Fireside. These 3 men were considered the founders of the sunny South Colony. The chief thoroughfares in the colony were Washington Avenue, the road running north and south at Peacock Store, Pomona Boulevard, which is present-day Elm Street, and Broadway, which followed the old Stake Road and terminated at Grist. As the town progressed as a business community, so did the social life. A few women began to meet periodically, always bringing their needlework, and in 1896 organized a society they named the Sewing Circle. They officially organized in 1896 with 14 charter members, met twice monthly with dues of 10 cents per quarter. In 1896, Miss George Christie and her infant son burned to death in their home. The ladies of the Sewing Circle realized there was no municipal cemetery and undertook the establishment and upkeep of a cemetery as their special work. Mr. J. A. Brown gave a plot of land on the east side of town. In 1902, these ladies purchased the first hearse in Columbus County, with proceeds from ice cream suppers, oyster suppers, and bazaars. In 1913, their organization was incorporated by an act of the North Carolina legislature as the Chadbourn Memorial Association. It was the first such organization in the state. In 1937, They affiliated with the Garden Clubs of North Carolina. In 1896, Mr. D.H. Harnley started a newspaper, the Trucker and Planter. A weekly newspaper has been published almost constantly since, under several names and various publishers and editors. This ad is from an early newspaper. Mr. Blake operated a general merchandise store, and Keith Blake says his father sold everything from candy to coffins. Known weekly papers published in Chadbourn: the Trucker and Planter, the Chadbourn Messenger, the Trucker, the Industrial Advocate, the Columbus County News, and a bi-monthly published for many years, the Carolina Fruit and Truckers Journal. Sunny South colonists were attracted to the Chadbourn colony with the idea of growing strawberries and other truck crops. Mr. Joe Brown had planted 200,000 imported plants in 1895 and had a complete crop failure. He learned by his mistakes and planted 6¼ acres in 1896, from which he sold berries for $5,562. The colonists planted berries, and the first berries were ready for market in 1897. Lady Thompson was the variety. The first berries were shipped by parcel post at a cost of 52 cents per quart, and all berries were shipped on consignment to northern markets until 1900. Among growers planting 20 to 30 acres and loading 2 freight cars daily during the seasons of 1897 to 1900 were Bob Blake, A.F. Caltus, B.H. Harnley, Elroy Bailey, Frank Wesley, T.H. Ramsbottom, E.H. Miller, and R.K. Moores. The year is 1897, and this is the Silver Coronet Band, which was organized by Professor Nelson of South Carolina. He was paid $150 monthly. The band went with Mr. J.A. Brown on his campaign trips. They played for public gatherings and rallies, and they were much sought after both in North Carolina and South Carolina. The people in the picture, left to right, are R.K. Moores, Earl Bailey, Wilmer Cowan, H.H. Horton, C.R. Linhart, Elroy Bailey, Oscar High, Hugh Cowan, Robert Jones, Delbert Wilson, Charlie Ball, M.F. Lowe, and Professor Nelson. This picture was made on the grounds of the old county courthouse at a white supremacy rally. Governor Charles B. Aycock was the speaker. The Brown Mercantile Company was located on the corner of Railroad and Wilson Streets, facing the railroad tracks. The present freight depot stands directly across the street and tracks from the Brown site. Associated in business with J.A. Brown was his brother, R.E.L. Brown. Known store managers were Joe Baldwin and Jim Davis. This is the interior of Brown Mercantile Company. Brown Mercantile Company sold a variety of items. Notice the line of straight chairs against the left wall. The fine cutlery for sale in the center showcase. The Aladdin lamps on the right top shelf. Heat was provided by a stove in the back. Light was by oil lamps. The stairs at the back led to a second store used for the great variety of items available. Warehouses for the store were located east of the present depot. Usually there were 2 women clerks and at least 6 men on duty in the store. This picture was made on the porch of Brown Mercantile Company about 1920. The people in the picture who can be identified are second woman from the left, Estelle Inman Baldwin. Far right, first man, Carol Powell. Next to him, Artemisha Smith, and next to her, Moses Lowe. This is Mr. E.A. Perry in about 1898, described by some as a public-spirited person. He was a strawberry commission merchant and owned stores on both sides of Brown Street. In 1902, he formed a company and installed the first telephones in Columbus County. You will see the telephone poles in the early pictures of Chadbourn. In 1903, he was mayor of Chadbourn. This sawmill was located in the area of the present veneer plant. The picture was dated 1899, and it is believed that the first strawberry crates made in Chadbourn were made in this plant. The first crates were brought in from Goldsboro and Mount Olive. In 1899, M.F. Lowe operated a crate factory which soon became inadequate. This crate factory produced crates for many years under the name Chadbourn Crate Factory. About 1928, it changed hands and operated under the name the Chadbourn Manufacturing Company. 32-quart crates were used until 1935. Then 24 crates were used. 12 pint flats are now used. On May the 25th, 1897, the Chadbourn Presbyterian Church was organized. This building was built in 1899 and stands on the corner of First Avenue and Howard Street. Presbyterians in Chadbourn celebrated their Diamond Jubilee in 1947 and dedicated a new church building in 1954. The following pictures pertain to the strawberry industry that developed after 1897. These young men are holding strawberry carriers used by pickers in the field. Each carrier held 4 quarts of berries. This is a strawberry packing shed in a field. Strawberries were picked, brought to the shed, graded, and packed into quart cups and put into 32-quart crates before transporting to market. A strawberry buyer first came to Chadbourn in 1900. He was a Mr. Owen from Delaware. More buyers followed, and the strawberry auction was initiated. Some farmers still sold their berries on consignment. Shown is Brown Street looking north about 1904. This is a strawberry auction line. On the right is Thigpen's General Store. Across the street on the left is the facade of the Wilkes Hotel. The building on the right in the background is the Bank of Chadbourn, built about 1904. Notice that there are no automobiles or trucks in this line. Buyers that came to Chadbourn for 35 years or more were Roy Clark, Lacey Hardesty, Pert Morgan, and Ralph Emerson. This is another strawberry auction line looking east. The large building on the left is the Brown Mercantile Company. This picture was possibly taken in 1920. Notice the number of automobiles in the line. This is another auction line looking north at the corner of Brown Street and Railroad Avenue. Note the T-model in the line, the telephone poles, the 32-quart crates on the wagon, the back of Chadbourn building on the right. This is Chadbourn's first and oldest brick building.